All right, so welcome to another deep dive. Today we are diving into, well, a pretty big story in the NBA right now. Luka Doncic going back to Dallas,
Yeah.
not as a Maverick, but
Right.
as a Laker, and really putting on a show and even getting a response from a Laker great, Pau Gasol.
Exactly. Yeah, we're looking at a Yardbarker article that was updated yesterday, April 10th, 2025, called Pau Gasol sent special message to Lakers Luka Doncic after epic return to Dallas. And I think today what we want to do is go a little bit beyond just like the box score and really kind of understand, I think, like the layered significance of Doncic's performance, Gasol's reaction and what this might tell us about where the Lakers are headed. You know, are we seeing like a new era forming in LA?
So Luka back in Dallas for the first time, healthy, ready to play against his
Ugh.
former team.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to imagine the energy in that arena
I
was
know,
going
definitely. Electric.
incredible. And he put on a show.
He did. The article highlights that he had a season high 45 points, going 16 of 28 from the field, only 1 of 6 from three-point range. So not his best shooting night from beyond the arc, but 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals. I mean, what's really interesting here is his ability to affect the game in so many ways, even if one part of his offensive game isn't working.
And, it's not just empty stats. The article points out his plus-minus was plus 26 in
Wow.
38 minutes. So that means, like, when he was on the floor,
Yeah,
they were dominating.
absolutely.
It wasn't just scoring. It was everything.
Yeah, his impact was felt throughout the game, and it really, you can see it in the final score, 112-97 for the Lakers, so it wasn't even really close. This was a comfortable win.
Uh,
The article uses the word blowout.
a blowout win against his former team.
Couldn't write it any better.
Come on. But, it's not just about, this one matchup. Obviously, the Lakers have playoff aspirations, and this win was a big part of that.
Right, this was their 49th win of the season and officially clinched them a playoff spot. And what's really interesting, I think, for you is that this is the first time since the play-in tournament was introduced in 2021 that the Lakers have actually avoided it altogether. They're
Yeah.
not going to have to go through that single elimination, high-pressure situation. They're going straight to the playoffs, and that's, teams that avoid the play-in are often in a much better spot to make a deeper run because of that rest and the seeding that they get. And it just, this win just signals a huge turnaround, I think, from where the Lakers were last year.
And it's their first season with Luka on the team to
Exactly.
go straight into the top 6 in the West. That's
Really impressive.
that's something special.
Yeah, the article clarifies that, their seeding is going to depend on their last 2 regular season games. They could finish anywhere from 3rd to 6th, but that top 6 is locked in. They can't catch Houston for the 2nd seed, but, the fact that they've avoided the play-in altogether, that's a big accomplishment.
And they're sitting, comfortably ahead of the 8th seed, the Minnesota Timberwolves, by 2.5 games.
Yep.
So they've got that cushion going into the playoffs. They've got the Rockets on Friday and the Trailblazers on Sunday. Every game still matters for seeding, but that pressure of the play-in is gone.
Absolutely. And speaking of pressure, this game really got a response from a Laker legend, Pau Gasol. We're talking about Hall of Famer, 2-time NBA champion. His jersey's in the rafters. When he speaks, people in the Laker community listen.
And he took to X after the game to share his thoughts.
Yeah.
What exactly did that message say?
So his tweet, which the article quotes, says, "Bravo at Luka Doncic. What an extraordinary performance and such an emotional night coming back to Dallas. Amazing welcome and love from the Mavs fans, but I'm happy you're a Laker." And this was posted on April 10th, 2025.
You can really feel like the genuine, excitement for Luka in that. And he acknowledges the emotional weight of coming back to Dallas, the fact that the Mavs fans gave him a warm welcome. But ultimately, he says, "I'm happy you're a Laker."
Yeah.
I think that extraordinary performance really jumps out at me, too. Like, that's, I think, how a lot of people felt watching that game.
Yeah, it was something special. And what's really interesting, I think, for you, if we connect this back to the bigger picture, is the parallel that the article draws between Doncic coming to the Lakers and Gasol's own arrival in LA 17 years prior. In February, Gasol also joined the Lakers midseason in this blockbuster trade.
Oh, I remember that trade.
Yeah.
It felt like it instantly changed the landscape of the West.
It did. It really did. The article emphasizes that Gasol's arrival made the Lakers immediate contenders. They reached the NBA Finals that very summer, their first appearance in 4 years.
Right.
And then, of course, went on to win championships in 2009 and 2010 with Gasol playing a key role. And it's not just about reaching the finals. Gasol brought this really unique blend of skills, basketball IQ leadership that really unlocked, I think, the potential of that entire team.
He was such a big part of those championship runs.
Sure.
Do we have any sense of what his impact was statistically like during his time with the Lakers?
I think it's always good to kind of put some numbers
Yeah.
to these legends. The article gives us his regular season averages over his 7 years in LA. He averaged 17.7 points per game, shot the ball incredibly well, 52.2% from the field, 78% from the free throw line,
Oh.
and then also 9.9 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 1.4 blocks per game. So really, contributing across the board, showing his impact on both ends of the court.
So you have this precedent, right, of a superstar coming mid-season and immediately elevating the Lakers to championship contender status. And it's hard not to see some similarities there with Doncic's arrival and the team, immediately jumping to the top tier of the West. And the article talks about Doncic's long-term aspirations with the franchise too, right?
Yeah, they suggest that he, probably hopes to have his jersey retired in the rafters at Crypto.com Arena, one day kind of solidifying his legacy as a Laker.
Sure.
And the article concludes by saying that if he keeps putting up these superlative performances, it's definitely a real possibility. We might be seeing the early stages of a legendary career unfolding in LA.
So you have this, phenomenal performance by Doncic in his return to Dallas, loaded with emotion.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, they clinch a playoff spot. And then you have this, beloved former champion Pau Gasol coming out and giving him praise and almost drawing a parallel to his own arrival in Los Angeles. It feels like more than just a regular season game, right? Like it's a potential turning point.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing here is this kind of confluence of individual brilliance with Doncic, a team success milestone with that playoff berth being clinched.
Right.
And then this sort of symbolic passing of the torch from a Lakers legend. It all contributes to this narrative that the Lakers might be entering a new era of really, significant contention.
So for you, the listener, what are the takeaways from this deep dive? I think what we've seen is how a single game can be so much more than just a win or a loss.
Yeah.
It can encapsulate individual brilliance, team progress, and even, echoes of franchise history. Luka's performance wasn't just a season high, it was a statement.
Yeah.
And Pau Gasol's reaction wasn't just a tweet. It was like a powerful acknowledgement of a new chapter.
Yeah, I think what's really fascinating here is the potential for history to repeat itself. Not exactly, of course, but in terms of impact. Gasol's arrival brought these immediate championship aspirations, and ultimately those titles, this win with Doncic at the helm is like a huge step forward for the Lakers. And it really makes you wonder, can this team with Doncic as their leader, can they make a similar run to glory?
It really leaves you thinking about what's possible. And considering the historical resonance of Pau Gasol's arrival and the success that followed, how might Luka Doncic's presence ultimately change the Lakers' legacy in the years to come?
Yeah.
Is this the beginning of a new championship story being written in Los Angeles?
Really interesting question.
It is something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time.